Hello, once again. Thanks for tuning in. You listen to World Combat Sports. What is good, everyone? And thanks for tuning in. If you in the building in the live chat, it's another one. I'm gonna be speaking with the multi-time featherweight champion, the one and only Lance Palmer. If you don't know him, you will after the interview. I mean, this is my second time interviewing him, and he's one of the baddest man right now. In the sport of mixed martial arts. He can lay claim to that because he was a multi-time featherweight champion in the WSOF, and then when the organization turned over to the Professional Fight League, he then entered the tournament, won it, $1 million prize, went into the tournament a second time in 2019, won it again, another $1 million prize. So, he's a big deal right now. You know what I'm saying? He's about to kickstart the third season of Professional Fight League, and it's going to be very interesting. You know why? Because, of course, he has a target on him and everything else. You know what I'm saying? He's the man to beat right now in the featherweight division. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see him compete again because he's well-rounded as you can possibly get as a mixed martial artist. He just have to be competing in another neighboring organization, which it only matters if you follow mixed martial arts every so often, because you have elite fighters in all these organizations right now. I mean, you have Bellator, you have PFL that was formerly WSOF. You know what I'm saying? WC is gone. Of course, you have the UFC. You know what I'm saying? You have all these organizations where you have elite fighters competing at. Hold on for a second. Tom Brown, what's good? What's good? Boo Robinson in the building. What's good? Salute to both of y'all, man. I know Lance Palmer, stud legend. Yeah, man. He's a two-time tournament winner, and he's heading in there for his third. Can you imagine his third tournament to compete in the featherweight division? He's won it twice back-to-back, 2018 and 2019. Now he's going back in after the pandemic to try to do it again. So I'm waiting on him to join me so we can chop it up. It's not going to be a long interview. Why? Because he has a newborn on deck now. He's in fight camp. He's about to step into the cage once again next month to jumpstart the featherweight tournament. So you know how that goes, man. Fighters are constantly on the move, training all day, going back home, recovering, spending time with the family, back out to training again. So we'll see what's going on, man. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. Well-rounded fighter. He has a tough. I don't know. I'm gonna ask him. Do he believe it's tough? Maintaining professionalism. He probably gonna say his first opponent out the gate is tough. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask him though. This is nothing new. For those of you that's in the building, do me a big favor and hit that like button. Share the content. Truly appreciate you. Thank you for being first in the building. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brown, Boo Robinson in the building. You know what it is. I always appreciate the support. World Combat Sports on deck. It's fight week, of course. So stay tuned. It's going to be some media coming your way this weekend. Probably starting Friday. Shout out to Michael Williams Jr. He's about to step back in there, in Alabama this weekend, competing for his 17th victory. Shout out to Team Williams. Roy Jones Jr. be on deck, 300. All the entire team as usual. Fernando Bunch is going to be on deck too. Shout out to El Terrible. He's going to be back on deck. Shout out to Brian Norman, man. Brian Norman Jr., who just finished fighting on Showbox. From what I understand, he's heading down to get some sparring potentially. I think at RJJ. in Pensacola, Florida. So stay tuned for that. You know what I'm saying? He also took second at the NCAA wrestling. That's big. Yeah, he NCAA, and also I think he was like 4 or 5 time Ohio State, wrestling champion. Also, Sheed in the building. What's good? But you're right, man. Good shit. Appreciate that info, there, Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that info. Big dog in the building. Salute to you. I'm just waiting on the man himself. He in fight camp, getting ready for another big tournament, man. This is huge. This is a huge tournament for him because he's won it twice, man. Changed his life. $1 million prize, featherweight world champion, and not only that, he was already World Series of Fighting featherweight champion twice. Then they changed over to the PFL, the WSOF changed over to the PFL, and then they had these tournaments where you compete for a grand prize. I like tournament-based, competitions because you know who you're going to fight, and you usually have some of the best in the tournament. The one thing about it, as a fighter, you might fight multiple times. You know what I'm saying? There's very close window to one another. So you have to maintain your health. You have to stay injury-free and everything else. I'm trying to see what he's texting me. Sheed in the building. What's good? Big Dog say salute WCS. Appreciate you. Tone say, did PFL release the brackets for each weight class? Absolutely, they did. And I put it up here. I did. I'm not going to look for it right now, but they did release the brackets. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hold on for a second. Let me Oh, there he goes. Let me get you in here. I see you. I'm trying to add you, dear Lance. Hold on for a second. What's going on? The man himself, Lance Palmer, in the building. How you feel?
Doing well, man. How have you been?
I'm good. Hey, everybody that's tuned in. This is the one and only multi-time world champion in the featherweight division, Lance Palmer. He's currently competing in the Professional Fight League. He was a multi-time champion in the World Series of Fighting. And also he's headed back into the PFL tournament once again for a third time to see if he take that tournament again, man. How's it been for you during this pandemic?
It's been wild. I didn't get to fight all last year. I was in fight camp actually when we found out they were canceling the original season 3 of PFL, and I own other businesses, and I own a landscape and hardscape business, so I kind of took my focus into that over the year because we knew we weren't fighting, and we knew there was going to be really nothing for me to do fight wise. I couldn't get out of my contract to try and fight elsewhere. There was a lot of lot of ups and downs as far as the fight part of it goes, but in other aspects of life, it was really good. I was able to build my business pretty well with the hardscapes and learn a lot and grow a lot through that part throughout the year. And then my wife and I, we just had our first baby girl.
Yeah, congratulations. I was gonna get to that. Yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. I kind of wish if it were to happen, if it were to happen in the perfect world, it would have been the pandemic after she was born, so then I could spend the time with her. But like right now, I'm in town, but I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go out to training camp again, and just trying to make it work to where I could be here as much as possible during this stage of her life and spend weekends with her until my fight's over, and then be back home with her full time. But it's so the pandemic was kind of weird for that sense of it, not being able to fight and train and do what I love and basically do what makes me my money and what I've done since 2011. So that was kind of like something was taken from me, but I was able to gain a lot of positives out of it in other aspects of life.
Man, that's that warrior spirit there, Lance, man. You was built for that. You was built to succeed in life there, Lance. Do you ever look at it that way? You was one of those guys who was built to succeed and be multitaskers in life, man.
I think so. I think just my mentality, and my mentality's always been that way, is just put in the work, always learning, whatever it takes type of attitude. And I think I've always been that way since I was a little kid. I started wrestling when I was 9 years old, and my brother started wrestling when he was 5, and he was 3 years younger than me. So he had already been wrestling, but when it came to pure talent, he had always been more talented than me naturally. But as far as work ethic goes, I was able to exceed through my work ethic and my ability to push myself. And so I had a feeling that with the pandemic, it would present some, not struggle, but make me face some adversity and be able to persevere through some things. And it definitely did that. But honestly, I just was like, okay, what's next? What do we need to be doing? And that's kind of just when I was able to keep growing my my business outside of fighting and work on other things and some real estate things and just kind of adapt and grow. Basically, I didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people didn't have choices, especially in your position, man. You already been at the top of the tournament, but yet for those fighters that wasn't in your position, I bet they were struggling too to find out when the PFL was going to jumpstart. So, coming full circle there, Lance, you was fighting through the pandemic. Thankfully for you, like I said, you're a multitasker and you have other areas to build up your success in your own personal business. How did you keep your motivation to train, man? You know what I'm saying? You're the top of the heap when it comes to the featherweight division in PFL.
I think the biggest motivation during that time was other teammates of mine and good friends of mine who still had fights during that pandemic.
Yeah.
Joseph Benavidez, he was fought for a world title last summer in Abu Dhabi because the UFC was still fully active. So I was able to go out to Vegas and train with him leading up to his fight and be able to take that time, even just helping him with his last few weeks of prep to make myself better and be able to put myself back in a training scenario. And Juan Archuleta, who's a bantamweight champ in Bellator, being able to train with him and get him ready for his fight during the pandemic. And just little things like that kind of kept my mind fresh and dealt with the frustrations. And then there were some local guys, jiu-jitsu guys who were really talented. There's a guy up in Toledo, Ohio named Dante Leon, and he's a world champion jiu-jitsu grappler. And I've been able to work with him over the last few months, just to get better and just improve and work on the little things just in the jiu-jitsu game that you don't really work in MMA just because there's just so many facets to the game in MMA. You don't get to focus on pure jiu-jitsu as much. So I got to kind of break things down and separate each martial art and kind of work little things And one of my close friends, Cody Garbrandt, his uncle lives about an hour and a half from me. So having him come to the house and work mitts with him and just hit the pads and kind of break down just fundamental boxing and southpaw boxing and just trying to improve on little areas. And I think the pandemic in a way was kind of a mental break from the grind of 5 fights in 8 months and everything we've been doing the first 2 seasons of PFL. But also it was just a way for me to kind of let my body rest for a little bit and still be able to improve by focusing on the little aspects of everything.
You mentioned Garbrandt, Archuleta. Both of those guys have really good hands. Yeah, I know
Definitely.
Cody Garbrandt, he does have some wrestling pedigree, and I remember seeing Archuleta's last fight, and I was like impressed. I was like, dang, this guy has some pretty good hands, but you have the wrestling pedigree, and you're not a slouch on the ground yourself. So do you actually compete in BJJ to improve your ground game, or you just use your wrestling pedigree and blend it in with the grappling aspect?
I've honestly only competed one time in jiu-jitsu, and it was for a thing called flow. I think it was called Fight to Win.
Grappling.
Oh, yeah, okay. It was flow grappling, Fight to Win. And it was actually really fun for me because I got to compete outside of fighting and outside of wrestling, where I was able to use some wrestling, but it's a completely different competing for jiu-jitsu than it is to compete in wrestling. So that was a nice change up that I did, but that was the only competition I did, and it was back in 2017. But I think I would probably compete more outside of my fights if PFL wasn't such a season-oriented thing, where if I was like, in the UFC, if you fight, you don't know when you're fighting next, so you could kind of jump in and do tournaments here and there and things like that. But with PFL, you kind of know, like, if you're winning, you're going to be fighting all year long. And so it's hard to do other things. And sometimes in your contract, they don't let you compete outside. And, and it's, that's kind of tough too, because if you want to compete and have some fun or do like a charity match or something like that, I know guys like Stipe Miocic competed in Fight to Win before against other jiu-jitsu guys. And it's kind of, it's just a way to let your mind do something different, and it's a good way to improve, win or lose. I mean, you're stepping out of your wheelhouse to do something else, but yeah, I think I've always wanted to do the no-gi worlds, which is basically you're not wearing a jiu-jitsu gi, but you're basically grappling and
with a hash.
Yeah, exactly. So you're basically you're able to use your wrestling, but obviously the point system is for jiu-jitsu. So I've always wanted to do it over the years, but for some reason, every single year during that time or right after or right before, I've competed in a fight. So I haven't been able to, because over the years, the no-gi worlds have usually been like November and December. And it's always interfered with the competition of my fights, but definitely something I've always wanted to do. And ADCC, which is similar to the world, is basically like the best grapplers in the world going at it, and you have to qualify for it. That's always something I've wanted to do, but maybe I'll have to wait until after I'm done fighting probably to be able to jump in those and try and compete.
Yeah, I mean, that is a sport where you can be in your 30s and still go in there and compete. You know what I'm saying? What's your belt? What's your belt in BJJ?
Brown belt currently.
Okay, you're brown belt. Okay. So you up there. It's only a matter of time before you go up here and win PFL 3 and they give you your black. I don't know how long you've been brown belt, but that's usually the way it goes.
Yeah, it's been a few years, and I think the main reason is that I haven't competed in jiu-jitsu to be able to earn it. And I'm not somebody who just wants a black belt because I'm talented enough to have it. I feel like I want to earn it, and whether it's getting a couple more submissions in fights or actually having actually winning a big tournament in jiu-jitsu, whatever the case may be, I feel that my skill level is at black belt level, but it just, whenever my coaches feel that it's the right time, and I've had a few different jiu-jitsu coaches throughout the years too. So it's
Mm,
another thing of like one coach doesn't want to step on the other coach's toes, and they want to kind of do it together. So that's the other thing too. But I feel like right now I'm just focused on improving every day, and I'm still learning every day. It's for being a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and even black belts. You know, I feel like once you stop learning is probably when you should be done with whatever you're doing. I think
true. You're right.
because I
You're
think if
right.
you don't think you're learning anymore, there's really like why are you doing it? If you're there's always something to learn, but I feel like it's a mental decision to really say that you're not learning anything anymore.
That's true. Hey, give me your assessment on your opponent, man. Y'all match up when it comes to wrestling and
Mm-hmm.
and experience in the cage. I mean, both of y'all have your own experience, your own championships in different organizations. Yours,
Yeah.
of course, being a bit higher, but I do have familiarization with Bubba Jenkins. You know, what's
Mm-hmm.
your assessment on your first opponent out the gate?
I feel obviously I've known Bubba for a long time through wrestling, and his wrestling credentials were great. And I feel that wrestling wise, we always matched up really well. I mean, we were when we actually wrestled in matches, we were 1-1, and then I had
Mhm.
one forfeit against him due to injury. But in our matches, they were always super close matches. So, I mean, as far as pure wrestling goes, I think it would be if I had to just go off of pure wrestling, I'd be like, yeah, man, it's going to be really close. It's going to be a really good fight. But I feel that I've done more growing in my career than he has in his as far as learning and becoming more of a well-rounded fighter. Um, and it's not taking anything from him. I know he's done well and he's won Brave title and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I feel that in competition wise, I feel that my submission game is better and my adaptability with my wrestling and grappling is higher level than his. And even though my striking is still improving, I feel that my striking is a lot higher level than his. But a fight to fight, and when it comes down to it, you just have to prove it in the cage. And there's a lot of people that like to talk and say they can do this or that, but for me, it's just I know my capability, and I just have to go out and prove it against him. And he's a great opponent to prove it against too, because he has the name and the history, and we have the background with each other. Even though it's from 2008, which is ages ago, I think it's good for them to be able to pump that fight up just with our history of wrestling together.
Hey, I agree there, Lance. You won the tournament once, and then that must have been pressure to go in there and return, win it twice. How are you feeling, man, going in there and possibly going for a trilogy, a trifecta in a tournament-based MMA competition where you already have a target on your back from your competitors. And then also on top of that, Lance, you got to stay healthy. Like you said, you have to stay healthy
Mm-hmm.
through the whole entire tournament.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing mentally for me going into the third season is I had this too in high school wrestling because I won four state titles in high school, and my sophomore season felt like my hardest season. Same thing with the NCAA tournament. My sophomore season was my hardest season, whether it be focus or just keeping my head on straight or just whatever it was mentally. Which was the 2008 season when I did wrestle Bubba, and that's kind of what I look back on, and is like I got that sophomore year out of my way, and my junior season I felt like was always one of my better years in high school and in college. So I feel like a lot of that sophomore pressure of doing it again after the first time is done, and now it's just to keep adding to the legacy and having fun in there and performing. So I feel like obviously the pressure is always still there from having a target on my back, but I've always had that since I was 9 years old. I was always one of the best wrestlers in the country, even growing up, going to Tulsa Nationals and Reno Worlds. And I mean, it's been that way since I was a little kid. So the pressure doesn't really feel like pressure to me, except the pressure I put on myself to perform. So I think that's what this year I think will be, is just putting the pressure on myself to perform and also have fun doing it, because even though there's a lot of new guys and a lot of new faces and good names in there, I feel that I have what it takes to do it again and again and again. So we'll see.
Hey, I hear you, man, and I wish you the best. Best. I don't like to use luck. I've never really been a luck person, but I wish you the best out there in competing. And I just have a couple of questions about what was the most extreme activity that you got into. I know you have a lot of toys, not just regular toys, but you got the horses up under there and everything else, man. What's the most extreme thing you did, during the pandemic, man?
Actually, I have a Can-Am side by side. It's a 1000 turbo, and honestly, that was a lot of the fun that we had. I went and we have these trails up at my wife's parents' cabin up in Michigan, up in the UP of Michigan, and they have trails on the property up there, and we were up there, driving through the trails and through the mud. And I think the off-road stuff was probably the most fun with that aspect of it. I also did a little bit of drag racing with the cars this summer or last summer. And it was actually really cool to be able to get out and do that stuff, because during the season of the 2019 season where I train in New Jersey, there was a drag track probably 40 minutes away. So like my getaway from training would be every Tuesday night. I would go up there and just hit some test and tune laps in the red eye or the track hawk, and just kind of let off some steam and that stuff like that. Kind of just like, I've always been a car guy. Like I've been into cars since I was a little kid. Always wanted to go fast. Always have had, I don't know what it is. That's just how I've always been. We raced dirt bikes when I was little, and we had go-karts when I was little. So I think maybe it's just something that's been ingrained in me since a little kid. And the competition in me loves drag racing, because you're just, you're trying to beat that person next to you. It's one-on-one, mano-y-mano, just like a fight, just like a wrestling match. So I think that's kind of what I enjoy. And pretty soon I have another one coming out of the stable too, but I'll save that for an official post once it comes back to the garage.
Hey, if it's that Lambo, I don't know. I don't know if you put engines in that, what I'm saying? But my comrade always tell me, Lance, he's like, hey, he talk about the Challenger, I don't know which one he said, but both of them, they sound like they have aftermarket high performance, what I'm saying? And he can always hear you all pulling out of the garage, man. I know at one point you said you were going to sell it or something. Did you want something bigger or what?
Yeah, I'm selling the Challenger, the red eye. Just basically to make room.
What is sitting that horse? What's the horse?
That is 930 at the wheels.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like 1100 at the crank, I believe. So it's I mean, that thing's a monster. It's definitely not for a new driver, because the rear wheel drive and that thing's like, it's like ice skating if you don't know what you're doing with that car.
Oh, okay. I believe you. So the Lambo and the at the airstrip gets it in. Okay. Yeah. All right. I got you.
That's what's up. It's Sheepy Race is the ones that are taking care of it and doing everything for me out in California, and it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited for that one, and that was part of the agreement basically with the sell the red eye and to be able to do that. So
hey, I feel you, dog. Hey, what an option you got, Lance? You got an option. Keep the Lambo, get rid of the red eye. Hey, you know what I'm saying?
The funny part is the Trackhawk is the sleeper out of all of them. I think when you talk to Perry and he hears that thing, like it shakes everybody's windows when I turn it on in the morning.
Wow. Yeah, he say he hears them all the time. I say, hey, you'll get used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's but that Italian one, that's a different sound.
So is it less horsepower than the red eye, or?
Technically, once it's done, it won't be. It'll be about 1200. But the weight to horsepower ratio is really where the speed comes in, because it's only about 3,100 pounds, where the red eye is like 4,400 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so I
what's up.
mean, it's like a missile on wheels.
Yeah. I can
That's
imagine.
insane.
I can imagine. Hey, but you know what it is, Lance, man. First of all, I wasn't able to do it earlier, but congrats to your newborn, man. Your
Thank
new
you.
intro to the family. I know it's been a long time. You and the wife has been, solo dolo enjoying life, man. You know, you were successful winning these tournaments and just being a champion in general. You know what I'm saying? You're used to succeeding, like I said, in life. I appreciate you always chopping it up with me, man. You're a good dude. And you know, I'm gonna be pulling for you in the tournament. Period.
Thank you,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always, that's the thing, is we were ready to do it, and we call her the pre-pandemic baby because we already had that planned before the pandemic. So because there's going to be a whole COVID boom, but we're trying to say that we planned it beforehand.
Yeah, it sounds good. You know what I'm saying? It sounds good. But
Yeah.
when let the people know where they can follow you there, Lance, and when you're stepping back in the cage.
So my fight is April 23rd on ESPN Plus and ESPN2. PFL season 3. It's the very first card of the season, and myself and Anthony Showtime Pettis are going to be headlining the card at our respective weight classes, and we're just looking forward to get the ball rolling again. And my Instagram is at Lance Palmer, my Twitter's at Lance Palmer, and at Lance Palmer MMA for my Facebook fan page. But anybody that shows support for me, I got a lot of love for you, and those that don't, I got even more love for you.
Hey, make sure you, outside of his fight career, you know, he is a two-time PFL world champion. Check his IG out. See what, you know, what the toys look like. You know what I'm saying? He got some nice toys out there, man. He has an interest in IG. You know, I frequent it often, you know what I'm saying? But hey, Lance, appreciate you pulling up, man. Salute to you. Best wishes out there to you and your family, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to talking to you after this W.
Absolutely, man. You know what it is. The invitation is always open. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
All right, champ. Blue Robinson say Lance attended the powerhouse St. Edward's High School. He also has a younger brother, Colin Palmer, who was a great Ohio wrestler. Yes, Pops was an intricate role in, you know, him and his brother wrestling also. You know what I'm saying? They're pretty close-knit family over there. National Big Ten Wrestling Championship, first of the Big Ten tournament. Congrats, Ohio State. Yo, Ohio in the building, man. Alexander, what's good? Salute to you. Say, what up, WCS? Salute to you, man. What's good? Michael Johnson, boxing talking more. What is up? WCS, what it do, man? What's good with you, bro? Appreciate everyone for pulling up. You know, that was my second interview. And if you don't know the backstory about how I linked up with Lance, is a guy I used to serve with who stays over there in Ohio. He used to tell me about his neighbor, and this is before he even moved into the lot. He used to tell me, okay, I got this house over here. They building my house. So once he got his house built, you know, he was just basically giving me a description of his neighbors moving in, stuff like that. So he said, well, this neighbor that's over here, I think he does combat sports. I'm not sure. I said, so who is he? I probably know who he is. He said, man, I have to check what his name is again. And it was really no connection. You know, I served with this guy, you know, and Lance ended up being this high-level mixed martial artist who has been multi-time world champion. So he tells me who it is. I say, oh man, I know who that cat is. He said, I said, next time you see him, she can link up for an interview. And then we ended up linking up for the first interview. You know what I'm saying? Cool dude. You know, we're talking about somebody who's won the PFL tournament twice and earned $1 million per purse per tournament. He earned $1 million per tournament, which is great. So I wanted to talk to him post sort of pandemic because the PFL was shut down the entire year. I mean, they just basically forego their entire 2020 season. I mean, fighters was like not having a clue on when they was going to step in the cage again. And when I found out and saw the brackets, I know somebody on here asked about the brackets. I saw the brackets. I saw who he was fighting. I said, man, I definitely want to touch bases with Lance again because he's fighting Bubba Jenkins, who's also one of those wrestlers and a veteran of mixed martial arts. You know what I'm saying? He's been around. You know what I'm saying? Been on Bellator. He'd been on some other neighboring organizations. So I said, that's a good fight. But at the end of the day, man, Lance is very well-rounded as a fighter. You know, he has a wrestling pedigree, but he has really solid striking with his hands. You know, his boxing is solid. And of course, coming in with that wrestling pedigree, it blends in with grappling. So you heard him talk about, you know, getting some grappling training in with a BJJ world champion. You know, we're talking about the world champion at the ADCC level. You know, that's another level that a combat sports that I don't talk about much, but I like ADC, Abu Dhabi Combat Club. And also he mentioned the flow grappling. You know, also they have the gi and no gi. Very entertaining to watch, but pretty boring to some people. But man, it's a magical sport, I'm telling you. And wrestling blends in real nice with the grappling game. So look for him, like he told you, next month. He's gonna be back in the cage, man. First fight out the gate. Very tough opponent. He's looking to do it again. Like I said, this guy knows how to win. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to get it done. And don't look at it like, okay, so why isn't he in the UFC or Bellator? He competed in a tournament, which he was able to win, which changed his life. Now, just think about that. Just think about some of these fighters that's been competing in mixed martial arts, and they never even will come close to winning $1 million or earning $1 million in their mixed martial arts career. They wouldn't even come close to it. But he's did it twice. He's earned $2 million. And that's incredible. That's just in the PFL tournament alone. So, of course, it changed his life. And also, you heard him mention how he has his own businesses. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Making your money work for you, providing generational wealth, especially now they have a newborn on deck. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. He's a cool dude. And plus, he can fight. He's one of the elites out there. So, yeah, I appreciate you. Robinson, thanks for dropping that info, bro. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for dropping that wrestling info and giving that regional info, you know, where he's out of, Ohio, and so forth. I appreciate that. When it comes down to it, man, you know, he mentioned Cody Garbrandt. And of course, you follow mixed martial arts, you know, Cody Garbrandt has very nice hands. He even has, you know, a boxing foundation. I know his uncle had pretty much trained him, from my understanding, in boxing. So that was one of the pluses that he had when he stepped in there with Dominique Cruz. You know, he had pretty good boxing, and also he has wrestling. But you heard Lance talk about him training with Cody No Love Garbrandt. We're talking about the Cody No Love, former world champion, and also up there with Team Alpha Male in Sacramento, California, if he's still up in that with that team. But yeah, it's Cody No Love. And also he mentioned Archuleta, man. I saw Archuleta fight in Bellator. I forgot his first name. It just slipped my mind. But he had really good hands, man. So when he said he was practicing with Archuleta and Cody No Love, I said, okay, it makes sense. They have very nice boxing, solid. You know, to combine with their the rest of their mixed martial arts skill set. Real talk. I salute that. But at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be tough. Tournament base is always tough because the turnaround fight dates are very close. As you progress in the tournament, you know, you're gonna have a quick window to turn around, and you have to make sure you recuperate properly. You know what I'm saying? Stay injury free fight a smart fight. It takes me back to when I was watching mixed martial arts, the Valley Tudo, back in the day. The pride rules where they used to kick people in the head. You know what I'm saying? And also they had tournament-based fights where if you end up being injured, you was out of the tournament. Like if you couldn't continue, you was out the tournament. So therefore, somebody might have lost, they get a second chance to compete. I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Lance Palmer, man, aka the Party. Lance the Party Palmer. You know what I'm saying? Out of Ohio. Salute to him. You know what I'm saying? Bubba Jenkins is also an NCAA national champion wrestler. Absolutely. You're right. He is. I think Division I, I believe. But yeah, you're right. Bubba Jenkins is up on the totem pole when it comes to that particular pedigree. So yeah, man, if I could, I would definitely try to have more mixed martial artists on deck for an interview. And also the grapplers. The reason why the grapplers are so unique and amazing and compete in one of the most beautiful sports, because in grappling, it forces you to think. Like you're probably saying, well, all combat sports is, but I'm saying in grappling, the only way that you can get better is by remediating with somebody else and switching up your sparring partners, so to speak, or your grappling associates, right? You have to keep on remediating, and there's so much to learn, man. Just one small move, you can find yourself in a submission. Your entire body from head to toe can be used in a submission. It all depends on what tournament style that you're competing in. Some allow leg locks at a certain belt. Some allow ankle locks. It all depends on the rules. No gi. I mean, it all depends on where you're competing at. But grappling is absolutely just a beautiful sport. That's why I call it the muddy flats, man. It's just a beautiful nightmare when it comes to combat sports. You have to actually remediate with a physical body. Seriously, if I wish I could show you more of the absolute division, where you might have 140-pound grappler in there with a guy that's 230. That's the absolute division in grappling, and it takes some cojones to compete in the absolute. It takes some cojones because you're going out there outweighed. You're not going up there stepping on the scales, weighing in. You're going in there to compete with somebody who's absolutely much larger and more imposing than you ever could be. And they might be stronger, but in grappling, if you're good, you can use their strength as their weakness and so forth. So, I love going to grappling tournaments. Definitely. I need to have more media, but it's tough, doing boxing, mixed martial arts, and grappling. Going to tournament after tournament. You have to pick and choose what you want to do, man. Like, do you want to go to this boxing now that boxing is opening back up? Do you want to go over here to this grappling tournament where no one's really gonna know anyone unless you follow the sport? You know what I'm saying? No one's gonna know who Ryan Gordon is. You know what I'm saying? Craig Jones. No one's gonna know about all these elite grapplers at the higher food chain unless you pay attention to the sport. I remember being in California and going down the 10th planet several times, talking to some cats down there. Very, very a big salute to them. They've came a long ways, man. Eddie Bravo and them guys over there, man. Shout out to the legend Eddie Bravo. Man, shout out to them, man. They came a long ways over there, for real. But California, man, they have a lot of grappling going on over there. And plus the weather is nice, so you can just about grapple at the local schoolyard. You know what I'm saying? That shit is wild, dog. But yeah, I not pay attention to that shit. But in closing, before I get out, um, I'm definitely gonna talk about, you know, how special this UFC 261 is gonna be. Y'all have no idea how special this UFC 261 is going to be. It's incredibly special because I know the last one was too. The last big card was too with Israel Adesanya and Juan Blachowicz. It was big too because he was daring to be great, to move up a division and potentially get one of the largest fights in combat sports history with John Jones, but it didn't work out. It doesn't mean he's out, but he couldn't get it done against Juan Blachowicz, so it's a setback. So we might see them up the road step in the cage together. If John Jones decides to move back down to light heavy, who knows? I mean, I've seen a training video and dudes he looked huge. John Jones has put on some mass, and that's a scary individual to be that damn tall and big. And he will get the winner of Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic. And that's gonna be an incredible fight, y'all. That's gonna be an incredible fight. But this is one of those fights where it has a lot to do with the legacy. You know what I'm saying? Kamaru Usman. Salute to Kamaru Usman. Look, I have to hold my square and admit that I was not a Kamaru Usman fan. And I'm not really one of those fans right now. You know what I'm saying? But I have to give him his respect for what he's been able to accomplish. He went in there and whitewashed Tyron Woodley. Whitewashed him. Both of these guys has wrestling pedigree and foundation. And he went in there and just dominated Tyron Woodley. And then the grudge match, him and Kobe Covington. He broke Kobe Covington's jaw, man. And that was at a time where Covington was all up in the White House wearing his MAGA hat and all this other shit, you know, doing stuff with Trump. And people despising him. But see, I look at it like Covington was at dire straits in his mixed martial arts career. They was about to fire him. And he decided to turn heel. And when I say turn heel, go all the way to the bad guy. And that's what he did. He stepped in there with Kamaru Usman, and Kamaru got in that ass. And he stopped him. So I was like, man, that's what it is. And then the recent, man, I'm saying to myself, like, okay, Gilbert Burns was supposed to step in there, Dorino, right? He's supposed to step in there. He caught COVID. And looking back at it now, I know it was emotional for Gilbert. He's an emotional guy. Like this is a multi-time ADCC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. He ain't a punk. Real talk. Gilbert Burns gets taken out of the fight due to COVID. Who gets a last-minute replacement? Jorge Masvidal, the one that everybody believes that should be a world champion. He just haven't been able to get it done, right? He has double-digit losses on his record. He earned the BMF belt by fighting, once again, Nate Diaz, of all people. And he really put a beating on Nate Diaz. So when it came down for him stepping there with Kamaru Usman, I was saying to myself, he's not that guy to go in there versus the guy with Kamaru Usman who's shining right now. Like, he's tearing shit up in the welterweight division. So he defeated Masvidal via decision. So then Gilbert Burns returns. So I'm looking forward. I said, okay, Gilbert Burns had all this energy built up. It's been COVID-19, a pandemic. He had time to sit back, get some more training in. I'm looking forward to a good matchup. Kamaru Usman shut him down, y'all. Shut Gilbert Burns all the way down. And look, I have his number in my phone, and you know, I couldn't even call him up. Like, I interviewed his brother Herbert, but I wanted to talk to Gilbert too. But you know, I said, I'm gonna let this man go. You know, he had COVID. He's getting ready for the biggest fight of his career. Kamaru Usman knocks him out, stops him. And Gilbert Burns, you know, he was all emotional because they used to be teammates. You know what I'm saying? Them two used to be teammates. That's big. That shit was big, man. They used to be teammates. And they split because, you know, they had a fight coming up. They had to train in different locations. But at the end, man, they showed sportsmanship. Like, okay, I know we was that was a wedge between us due to competition and everything, but that's over with now, and we good. That's what I perceive from it. But Gilbert Burns was crying, man. He was emotional. So he was defeated. Okay, point blank, period. Now, Kamaru Usman steps back in UFC 261, steps back in against none other than Jorge Masvidal off a full camp. Listen to me, people. Listen to me. This is it for Masvidal. Now I know Masvidal has some fans out there, wherever you may be, but check this out. This is it. This is the fight where people are gonna say, you know what, you was a street fighting legend. You was an elite level mixed martial artist, but you wasn't a great mixed martial artist. You know what I'm saying? You was able to compete on the elite level, but you wasn't great, right? Excuse me. He's stepping back in there with Kamaru Usman, man, on a full camp, because he claims that he had a short camp and that's why his performance was dismal, but yet he went the distance, right? So I'm saying to myself, okay, he has a full camp. This shit is going to be exciting. I truly think it's going to be more competitive. But Kamaru Usman, god damn, dude looks solid takedown the fist. His hands has improved. I mean, he looks unstoppable right now, Usman. He looks good. But also I have to look at Masvidal having been in there previously. And this is what I like about the UFC. That's what I like about the Bellator, right? He took a last minute replacement, defeated, and then they provide him with another title shot. Not 3 years up the line, not 4 years. Just let him get back in there with the opponent that was supposed to be in there, Gilbert Burns. Boom, get that out the way. And then they give Jorge Masvidal another shot, bro. How good is that? So he's going to be headlining the card, Kamaru Usman against Jorge Masvidal, the same Masvidal who freaking knocked out Ben Askren in 5 seconds. Now, of course, your boy, WCS, I have to give you a little bit, a sprinkle of that pepper, you know what I'm saying, that black pepper on the Ben Askren situation. A lot of you people are totally misguided, acutely delusional when it comes to Ben Askren being a chump. If you ever heard me talk about Ben Askren, he's one of those guys be walking down the street with a flannel, got a straw out his mouth with some shades, and got a little funky hat on, looking goofy. He's never been knocked out before with hands, period. The only time he was ever stopped was when Masvidal was able to land an unbelievable knee. That was the only time you ever saw Ben Askren. He came over to the UFC 18-0, undefeated, y'all. He faced adversity from Robbie Lawler, recovered, subbed him out, ended up getting a stoppage via a bulldog choke. He didn't want to rematch him. He said, I want to face the man, Jorge Masvidal, get closer. And just so happened, him being a wrestler, Jorge was practicing on, pulling that reaction out of him. And time the bell rung, Jorge stepped to the side of the couple and sprinted towards Ben Askren. His natural reaction as a wrestler is to change levels. He changed levels, and Jorge lit his ass up with a knee to the head. The rest is history. He's out. Then, Ben Askren, the reason why I'm talking about it, because he's due to fight next month down here in the A. But people are getting it. Look, these casuals, these temporaries are getting it misunderstood. They're talking about Ben Askren is going to get knocked out again by Jake Paul, this, that, and the other. Listen, no one has knocked out Ben Askren with their hands. It's not going to be a fucking cakewalk like that. We're not talking about Nate Robinson. We're talking about an actual fighter. Ben Askren is also decorated as a wrestler. But don't get it twisted. His hands and his beard at that point in time has been respectable. From what I'm hearing, he's working with some legitimate names out there, bro. So I'm just giving a little, backstory as to the Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal knocking out Ben Askren, who's fighting down here in Atlanta, Georgia, next month. So I was just giving the slice, giving you that pie. So that's the main event, Usman versus Masvidal. The co-main event is my girl Valentina Shevchenko, the Bullet. She's going in there against Jessica Andrade. I can't give you all that. Like Jack said, I can't give you all the sauce right now, man. I can break that shit down. It's an amazing story as to the process on Valentina Shevchenko being in the position she is and being, about to step in there with Jessica Andrade. You know what I'm saying? A former strawweight fighter. And then, the third championship fight on the card is none other. This is going to be sweet. I mean, this is going to be one of these fights where it's near and dear to my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going for my girl, Thug Rose Namajunas. Yes. Former world champion who defeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Yes. Thug Rose Namajunas is stepping in there against Zhang Weili. Yes, the same one who won the title most recently, defending it once, and she's stepping in there with the former champion, Rose Namajunas. See, I just can't break it down right here, right now, because it's still so far away from the fight. But it's such an amazing backstory to these women. I mean, I'm talking about from coming up from the Ultimate Fighter, he's stepping into the cage, going through the process, just blending all the names together, the big names that's been in there with the big names, and the Valentina Shevchenko's, her competing at 135, being defeated by Amanda Nunes twice, moving down the flyweight, dominating. Look, check this out. I still remember Nico Montana, right? Montana. She fought for the vacant and won. Dana White said, okay, you're going to fight Valentina Shevchenko. She's coming up doing fight week, and she's taking all these pictures, signing autographs. And on weigh-in day, she gets sick and have to go to the hospital. She gets scared, bad, or whatever happened. She really hasn't been seen again like that. Dana White strips her of the title, and Valentina Shevchenko has pretty much been ruling as the flyweight women's champion since then. All right. Somewhat similar to Demetrius Johnson. Not as many defenses, but Demetrius Johnson pretty much started the flyweight division. You know what I'm saying? His lone defeat was Dominique Cruz at 135 until they created another division, and Demetrius Johnson went down there and just started dogging dudes. You know what I'm saying? Mighty Mouse. Real talk, bro. Real talk. But I have to get on here. I have to jump on here on a separate live and really go into depth on what I want to talk about on this UFC 261 card, because it's some very entertaining information when it comes down to it. The lineup and the individuals that's on this card, period. I just gave you the 3 championship fights. I like what the matchmakers are doing with the UFC. They're giving you various championship fights on one card, man. We just had middleweight to light heavyweight, and then we had a bantamweight contest. I mean, can you even think about that? We had a bantamweight, and then we had a featherweight. We had Amanda Nunes at featherweight facing Megan Anderson, defeated her. That was at women's featherweight. And then we had a bantamweight title fight between Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. So you had middleweight challenging light heavyweight, and then you had champ, bantamweight competing in her second division, featherweight, 145, defeating Megan Anderson, and then turn around the bantamweight division championship. You had Aljamain Sterling picking up the title from Peter Yan via disqualification. So they're going to be on another UFC card sometime soon. But this one in a sense. You have the welterweight division, Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. And then you have the flyweight 125, Shevchenko versus Andrade. And then the last fight, which is going to be incredible, is going to be women's strawweight, 115 pounds, people. The women's strawweight is going to be on deck. Thug Rose Namajunas, man. Yes. She's going in there to fight the powerhouse, Zhang Weili, the first Chinese mixed martial arts champion. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be an epic fight. You know, Namajunas is coming for her legacy. You know what I'm saying? This is a legacy fight for Namajunas. This is a legacy fight for Jorge Masvidal. Real talk. It's a legacy fight. It's a legacy fight, man. And for Valentina Shevchenko, not so much a legacy fight because she's been dominating. But for Jessica Andrade, legacy fight. You know why? Because she's been champion at 115 already. Now she's at 125. If she beats arguably one of the GOATs in Valentina Shevchenko, she basically cements her legacy as one of the best. Even with the losses she has, they're going to say, okay, she was the 115-pound champion, and then now she's the 125-pound champion. Not just that, she went in there and defeated Valentina Shevchenko to get it. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy shit. That's crazy. Mitch say Ben Askren tough as shit, more wrestler than a fighter though. No chump at all. He can take a punch. Ben Askren had some pretty decent hands, man. He was 18-0, man. You know what I'm saying, Mitch? Like, shout out to King Mitch in the building. You know, he was 18-0. You just don't get 18-0 by having motherfucking dolphin fins and shit. You don't come out there flapping that shit around and try to say, okay, let's take it to the damn ground. No, you got to have some boxing skills, dog. You got to know how to damn put that left and right. You got to be able to mix it up. You know, combine everything together. I mean, I have to give him some credit for coming over to the UFC undefeated. The only trade the UFC has ever did, Ben Askren for Demetrius Johnson. Ben Askren for Demetrius Johnson. And Demetrius Johnson is still wrecking shop. Ben Askren, you know, he turns around. I forgot to mention this. Like, Ben Askren gets knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. And then his next fight, Damian Maia, who's a two-time BJJ world champion, he plays around Ben Askren. Once again, here's a guy who has the wrestling, playing around, and he stays too long in that universe, that grappling universe of Damian Backpack Maia. And Damian Maia subs him out. He subs him out. That's 2 losses in a row Ben Askren faced. And you know, he could have beat Damian Maia. But he wanted to play on the ground like a kid in the sandbox. He wanted to play with the Tonka toys and say, oh, I bet I can freaking spell a word out while I'm grappling. You know what I'm saying? He was out there being goofy. And Damian Maia subbed his ass out. You don't play with a high-level BJJ practitioner on the ground just to prove a point sometime. You don't do it. Thug Rose, yeah, for sure. Andrade is about to get abused by Valentina. Hey, man, what I will say about this match is the fact that Jessica Andrade is a little short, stocky, pocket Mike Tyson-esque female type, you know. But Valentina Shevchenko is a machine. Like, this chick is what you call a martial arts. I don't want to say anything that's disrespectful to women in combat, but, you know, I'm trying to find some female superheroes. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to Valentina Shevchenko, the shit she does, you know, she's heavy into firearms and stuff like that. I mean, she's just one of those people who is, you know, well-rounded. She still has that seductiveness about her, that sexiness, but she's lethal. She's lethal as shit. So pretty much, Jessica Andrade, she's going to have to come out with something different other than just trying to overpower and bully Valentina Shevchenko. It's not going to work. She's going to find herself, she's coming up from 115 and 125. She's going to find herself on her back, and she's going to be in a bad place. And from there, I'm not saying she can't make it to her feet, a post up, whatever. But one thing I notice about Shevchenko, her wrestling and her takedowns have gotten way better. Her control on the ground, her top position has gotten way better. Not to mention her all-around skill set when it comes to her hands and her feet. Her punches and kicks, man. Unbelievable. But stay tuned, though. I'm definitely going to try to, pull back up and give y'all a more in-depth, because it's a lot more to talk about on how all this materialized where it's at. Seriously. We're still pondering what Amanda Nunes is going to do. Like, she's the 135-pound bantamweight champion and 145-pound. What is she going to do? She pretty much damn near cleaned out everyone. Like, Megan Anderson is just another big fighter out there that she knew she can beat. She tried her hand elsewhere. I mean, come on, man. It wasn't even a fight. I even said it wasn't going to be a fight. She wiped her out. The 145-pound division on the women's side is so desolate, is that it doesn't even have a pound-for-pound list. It doesn't even have a pound-for-pound list. So I'm curious to know how long Amanda Nunes is going to stay in the game. I know Juliana Pena is calling her out hard, being disrespectful, all that shit. She wants her shot at Amanda Nunes because she feels that she can defeat her. And I'm going to talk about that later. I don't know if the fight's going to happen. Dana going to make the fight, but that shit is personal. Pena, it's personal with her. She keeps talking about her girl, which is, they're married now. Keep talking about her partner. Keep talking about her, family in general. Juliana Pena is just being disrespectful. And, Amanda Nunes is the lioness. But Pena ain't no joke, man. She's a Venezuela goddamn whatever type of damn bear you want to call it. She's ferocious, man. She's ferocious. It's no joke. Pena is ferocious. Seriously, she's ferocious. She's a ferocious individual, man. Man, y'all got me talking about mixed martial arts, man. And and Aljamain Sterling, man, he's gonna have to come back and defend that belt. He's gonna have to. A lot of people feel that he had lost momentum when the fight was stopped in the 4th round. Man, Peter Yan is gonna be upset when he finally stepped back in the cage with Aljamain Sterling. Believe that, people. He's going to be entirely upset. But he's going to have to make that shit happen. Aljamain Sterling's got to find a way from Matt Serra to improve his cardio and just work on some other skill sets that he could not utilize against Peter Yan in the first fight. He's got to find out. Maybe to implement more kicks to the game. They're using low calf kicks. Something, Dustin Poirier has changed his game tremendously. Aljamain Sterling need to do the same thing, else he's going to lose that title. He's not even going to be able to defend it successfully. I think he's going to lose it if he don't add some wrinkles to his skill set. He's going to be up out of there. And who else? I know Derek Bronson and Kevin Holland is fighting coming up real soon. That's going to be a pretty good fight. Devin Bronson is a character, man. He's tightened up a little bit. Derek Bronson is one of those guys. Man, he's a strange individual. Like, that's not the guy you fuck with. But goddamn it, him fighting in the UFC with his chin up the way it was. Man, I was like, dude, how can you fight like that and get knocked out the way you do, but still come back in the next fight with your chin up again? He's tried a lot to correct it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he just used to bombard his opponents, blitz them, just swinging wildly, man, with his chin up in the air. Boom, clipped out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's going to need to tuck that chin against Kevin Holland. Else he's going to be beneath the stars one more time. And that's not going to be a good look because Corey Anderson, who's over at Bellator right now, Corey Anderson was stopped by Juan Blachowicz in the first round, y'all. And they gave him his packing papers. Hasta mañana, amigo. See. You know what I'm saying? Hasta mañana, adios. Gone. You know? Mitch say Zhang is a machine, though. Thug Rose does get touched often. Zhang's aggression would be expected. Thug Rose team will have a solid game plan. We'll see how she executes. Absolutely, bro. I would go in depth on what you're saying, but then I'll be on here for more. You know, I just don't want to do. I'm gonna save it strictly for the UFC live because what you said, it's a lot of sense to that. But I want to kind of peel it back just a little bit more because Thug Rose have had success against a similar fighter just as Zhang Weili. And that was Jessica Andrade. Both of Zhang Weili and Jessica Andrade damn near fight the same. They're power punching type of mixed martial artists. Rose's hands are better. She was having success until she held on to a body lock too long and got spiked on her head. You know what I'm saying? But you're right, man. It's gonna be crazy. But man, y'all know what it is. Boxing, MMA, grappling, man, show some love, man. This is what I do. Shout out to Lance, the Party Palmer, for stopping through a World Combat Sports once again. Appreciate everyone who pulled up in the chat. Listen, it's going to be a busy week. I know a lot of you all are happy you got your stimulus. I am too. I'm happy for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate your support of WCS. We're going to do it again. Turn up and tune in.